The reason why we're here at this dedication is I took priority of the public schools, and only mayor in the country to do that. And people ask me, why would you do that, Mayor? You could ruin your political career. And I thought about that, and I said, what about my political career? Don't you think it's important to educate children? And don't you think it's important that someone should have a responsibility? And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, but at least you know who's in charge. And you can point to and say, okay, can we do better? And that's why I took over the schools, because I firmly believe if we don't educate our generation of children as quickly as possible, we lose them. And when we lose them, you know, we lose them, and you can't do that. We brought children into the world, whether our children or grandchildren or children in community. You can't say they're indispensable, that we don't have to worry about them. And that's why education, to me, is the highest priority. We have built 47 new schools since 1995, when you think of that. And we spent $5.5 billion. We asked the taxpayers. We don't get any help from the state government or federal government. And so my theory is, what is your priority in life? Is it education? And so when you think about all the money the federal government, state, why can't they just say, okay, education, we're going to build and rebuild our schools, which if you don't, you don't modernize them. You don't bring new technology. You don't give things that children should have as compared to 20, 30, 40 years ago. And so that's why I firmly believe that this nation has to get priorities, and priority should be education as quickly as possible, and give everybody the opportunity in technical, vocational, and any type of learning process that they can get a job. And big issue today, you know that, is a job. I mean, very frank. I mean, if people don't have jobs, then what they have is, unfortunately, they fall into substance abuse, they fall into some bad habits, and all of a sudden their life is ruined again. And to me, America's going through a struggle, and I think we have to really look at America and say, how can we do a better job for those that need help the most now, and what can we do with our children? I think that's what we have to do. All the debates about the issues in the world have nothing to do with the issues here in 15th and 16th Ward. It has nothing to do with it, unless they keep spending overseas and not spend here. And so I really believe that we should spend more money in America and put people back to work. You know, we don't have to go too far. During the Depression, you know, a lot of people were out of work. And so Franklin Delano Roosevelt came with a point, WPA, let's put everybody to work. And that's what they did. You didn't have to join a union, you didn't have to do this, you didn't have to do this, you didn't have to do this. They just put everybody to work. It was simple. Now it's complicated. I don't know why. It gets much more complicated. And those who need the help the most have the most difficult time getting the help. Simple as that. And it has to change. If we don't, then we're shortchanging America. We should never shortchange America. And that's my personal opinion. This 4,800 square foot annex builds a kitchen, a dining area, accessible bathrooms, additional educational space, a south entrance, a state-of-the-art artificial turf field, which is really important. That will be the future right there. Benches and accommodate outdoor play, recreation, safe haven for children right here in this community. And that's what it is. It's all about children. We adults have to say, what can we do a better job for our children and extended families? And to me, education is important. The Richard J. Daley Elementary School that we built, the cluster schools that offers magnet and science magnet cluster programs, pre-kindergarten at Claremont Academy, completed in 2004, library, classrooms, science rooms, math, art, all that. Miles Davis, the first school under modern buildings for Chicago, opened in 2008 for children pre-kindergarten through 8th grade. Over the years, Chicago Public Schools have built new additions or campus parks in the two areas, about 15 or 20. That is amazing. The new Kennedy King, and that was a struggle. We took money from the stockyards, all the way down the stockyards, and put the money up to Kennedy King. A lot of people said, Mayor, what does that have to do with the stockyards? It's very simple. It has a lot to do with the stockyards. No area is separated from the stockyards or any other area. So the Kennedy King, we put an enormous amount of money, TIF money, into Kennedy King in order to complete it. That is what we're looking at. That's the model of our city colleges. We want to build city colleges like that. Restoration, Olive Harvey, the same thing at Richard J. Daley, same thing at New Malcolm X, the same thing up north, so that we can have state-of-the-art city colleges here in the city of Chicago. And I firmly believe that because people can't afford four-year colleges. So let's give them a safe haven for 2 years. Let's do quality education. And that's what the new chancellor is doing at city colleges. It's going to revolutionize what we think is important for getting people good education and, of course, a job as quickly as possible. The West Englewood branch libraries, you know, one of the fastest growing libraries. There's families and people using that library. Again, why do I build libraries? A culture of learning, and that's what we have to do. The Mitzi Friedman Englewood Child Family Center, adjacent to it, the city gave $1.9 million in grants money for infants and toddlers. Again, it's just adjacent to the Englewood Library. The TIF assistance has over been $4 million in the last few years. Sidewalks, streets, parcel of lands. We invested in many programs, diverse development, 23 affordable housing, new homes for Chicago, 15 single-family homes, seniors on the south side from Lawn Terrace, Churchville Manor Apartments, Churchville supported housing, dealing with seniors and people who need help, homeless families at Clara's Village at Englewood. We have supported that family, affordable and supportive housing options for low-income and formerly homeless families. It's really important in individuals. And the idea you put more and more money into these housing is important so you can rebuild someone's soul. At the same time, renovations of parks from Gage, Sherman, Cornell, Hermitage Parks, new playgrounds at Moran, Sherman, Little Venice, Cornell, Ogden, Carpenter, Walcott, Gage, Hermitage, Montgomery, Oakley, Marquette, Lindblom Parks. The new 8th District Police District was open. A new station with the 7th District was open, which is really important to modernize that. Partnerships with the CAPS group, all those have been involved in CAPS and Parents Patrol, all those involved in local school council, parks council, library council, all those who believe that the environment is important. The growing Homewood Street Farm and Farmers Market, which we visited many times there, which is really important, how important that is. And yesterday when they had President Obama, I had the great honor of welcoming President Obama and Michelle Holmes to Chicago. I always say that, home, to our great city. And I talked to him about all the things that, you know, you try to do in life, especially with the environment. And I impressed him how important education is and what we should be doing more for education. And we talked about the jobs and how important people need jobs. I mean, you know, you see too many people out there that felt that no one's reaching out to them, and it cannot be. We have to really believe in America. I spent 2.5 weeks in China, and I'll be very frank, and they all want to come here, that's number one, and they all want to come to America, but we have to get more positive about America. I mean, we just have to get that feeling that we have to be positive and be able to say that, you know, yes, we have problems, but I really believe we can work this together. It isn't something that we don't. We have the largest reentry program that any city has. And Mayor-elect Rahm Emanuel just went to one of them. He couldn't get over it. He'd never heard about it. And that's very important, reentry. You know why? Because they're coming out. They want to rebuild their lives. If you can let them you don't let them rebuild their lives, what do? Unfortunately. And so we can't have that. You can't have that big circle going around continuously. They have families, they have children, they have parents, they have loved ones. And so if no one's there for them, to capture them. And so that's why I told them about the reentry program and how important that is to our city and to our nation. We're one of the few cities that have this. And I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of it because I really believe that every life can change. I believe that there always has to be a helping hand. I don't care who stumbles in life, who falls in life. If you don't have a helping hand, then you keep that person down on the ground, and then you put your instead of a helping hand, you put your foot on them. I don't believe in that. I wasn't raised that way. You don't put a foot on anyone. People are going to stumble. You better pick them up. And I think that's what education does. It takes young children and picks them up, picks them always up. Every child is not an A student, but every child can learn. And every child can become an A student. I believe that because, I'm an example of it. I was the best student in America. I just tell people that. I had those teachers hitting me. I had my mother going like this. I had people who said, yes, you can do better. And people have to say that. Some way they believe that people all of a sudden was anointed or some way got here. But you had to work hard, and that didn't mean you get all A's. Those who got C's went to C pluses and B's and that. And that's what we have to look at because I believe And I firmly believe that our children are all worth saving. And I don't care who they're born to, and I don't care what their parents did. I don't care what happened to them. The other day we opened a new program, which I think is going to be great, New Moms. It's on the west side. And what it does, it takes young girls who are pregnant and puts a good environment, puts them in an apartment with social services. Young girl got up there, and what does she talk about? Child is being raised. She's raising them. She's going to college. She's already completed 2 years. She's going on another 2 years. She got 4 years, and she's going to run a pre-kindergarten program. Now think of that. But under our statistics or ability to study, she should have been a failure. She's not a failure. I mean, there's some great success stories out there, and the good news should travel. We only hear negative things continually. And there's so many good things about people in life. And that girl the other day that stood up there, and to hear her just give this presentation, I mean, you would say, unbelievable. Look at this young girl. But there are a lot of young people out there doing the same thing. You know, and we have to hold on to them. If we not, we lose her and we lose her son. And that is wrong. And so that's why I think I've had the great honor of being mayor for 22 years. I had a great honor because I think it is an honor. You know, and to me, there's nothing more important than being mayor or an alder, because you're really local to the people. You understand those issues that confront you. You go to Springfield and Washington, it gets farther away. And it can't be. And those elected officials who then tell people, like when the president came in, all about these issues, you kind of reinforce them. About what his role will be. And to me, he's clear-cut. He understands the issues. When I got to those and started talking about them, he knew them too. And I said, you know, Mr. President, whatever I can do to help you, I want him to succeed. I don't care what people tell me. I want always a president to succeed, because if they succeed, it helps all of us. And this man, this woman, wait till you see them on, and they would tell you about their life. It's very impressive in what they're doing. And I think he is the best chief of staff, my brother. Thank you.